with Margaret Brennan, although I don't think she had a very good day over the weekend, my humble opinion. But I watched her with the media, and she was very forceful. And then you turn over to NBC, and everyone from Liberal Joe to Joy Reid to Nicole Wallace and Rachel Maddow, and it's not, they're back to their closing argument and they can't pay. Sure, Nazi, fascist, racist, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini. And I'm like, wow, it seems like they haven't learned a thing. But here's my question. If they're going to go there and they're going to make such insane allegations, when you're trying to get rid of criminals that have been murdering, raping, and responsible for other crimes, violent crimes against Americans, why are they even in the White House press briefing room? Why?
What was so interesting, just to give some more kudos to Carolyn, is she didn't have a massive binder. And she did this incredible briefing with all of the hostile media, and then somebody asked her, "Where is your binder?" And she said, "My binder's in my head." And I think there's something very interesting about Donald Trump's approach to governance is he just wants to hire smart, competent people to do the people's business. He's not worried about what you look like, whether you're gay or straight, whether you're black or white. He's just saying, if you're smart and you're loyal to the American people, you can have a place in my administration. I think Carolyn really knocked it out of the park. But it does raise an interesting question. I actually think that we are looking very seriously about which reporters show up. Because if you're a reporter, even if you're biased towards the left, absolutely we want to answer your questions. If you're a propagandist for the Democratic Party, then we're going to treat you like a propagandist for the Democratic Party. And one of the things that I think we've already done, again, we're only 8 days into this thing, is it's not just who's not there, it's also who is present. And Carolyn had a lot of new media folks, a lot of young people who represent, I think, the vanguard of news media in this country. She gave Matt Boyle from Breitbart a question yesterday. These are actually some of the people who are driving news in 2025 in America. And I think, frankly, the MSNBCs, the CNNs of the world, they should take the hint. Your viewership is way down. Your ratings are abysmal. Why is it that especially young people are tuning into new media? Maybe it's because instead of engaging in propaganda, the new media is asking real questions. I mean, Joe Rogan, one of the biggest voices in American media now, he was a Bernie bro 8 years ago. This is not like some crazy right-wing guy. This is just a person who's asking questions. And unfortunately, most of the old media, they're just not interested in that.
What I like about him is he's curious.
Yes.
As I listen to them and I watch Selena Gomez, that viral video, I'm thinking, now I've talked to the family, as did President Trump. I know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did not. I talked to Laken Riley's family. Yeah, I talked to Rachel Lauren's family, mother of 5. Yeah, I talked to Jocelyn Nungary's mother and grandfather. And I'm like, where were the tears when a little 13-year-old girl was brutalized and murdered, and all these other Americans murdered and raped and victims of violent crime? Where were the tears then?
That's a great point, Sean. There's something very deranged in the mind of the far left in this country, where I really do think that they feel more of a sense of compassion for illegal aliens who have no right to be in this country than they do their fellow citizens, and that really has to change. When Selena Gomez had her viral moment, and of course there were a lot of other celebrities who weighed in, I had people sending me photos of little kids, sometimes kids the same age as my little children. We've got, of course, a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
It was a great scene, by the way.
Thank you.
Someone's playing with your hair.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But kids similar age to my children who were murdered by criminal aliens in the United States of America. And as an American leader, but also just as an American citizen, your compassion belongs first to your fellow citizens. It doesn't mean you hate people from outside of your own borders, but there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. They seem to hate the citizens of their own country and care more about people outside their own borders. That is no way to run a society. And I think the profound difference that Donald Trump brings to the leadership of this country is that simple concept, America first. It doesn't mean you hate anybody else. It means that you have leadership, and President Trump has been very clear about this, that puts the interests of American citizens first. In the same way that the British Prime Minister should care about Brits and the French should care about the French, we have an American president who cares primarily about Americans, and that's a very welcome change.
What is President Xi doing? What is Vladimir
He's
Putin?
looking after the Chinese. Putin is looking after the Russians. That they're entitled to do that. Thank God we now have an American president who's looking after the citizens of his own country.
I hate